quiet village nestled between rolling hills and dense forests lived a man named Elric. He was a farmer, not the most successful in the village, but hardworking and dedicated. Despite his efforts, Elric often doubted himself. Elric's father had raised him to believe that asking for help was a sign of weakness. "You stand on your own 2 feet," his father used to say. "No one's coming to save you." Those words had settled deep in Elric's mind, shaping his life long after his father passed away. For years, Elric had managed alone. He kept to himself, avoiding village gatherings unless necessary. His pride told him he didn't need others, and his fear convinced him that others thought little of him anyway. One year, the village faced a devastating drought. The river shrank, the soil cracked, and crops withered under the relentless sun. Farmers gathered at the village square to trade food, share water, and discuss ways to survive. Elric, however, refused to join them. "I can manage," he muttered to himself, though his well was nearly dry and his crops were turning to dust. Determined to solve his problems alone, Elric tried digging his well deeper. Each morning, he would wake early and work for hours, sweat pouring from his brow. The deeper he dug, the harder the earth became, until eventually, the ground was too dry and stubborn to break. Days turned into weeks. His vegetables shriveled, his livestock grew thin, and his pantry shelves emptied. Still, Elric refused to seek help. "They'll think I'm a failure," he whispered to himself. "They'll say I can't take care of myself." His neighbor, Mira, grew worried. One evening, she knocked on his door. "Elric," she called, "we haven't seen you in a while." "I'm fine," Elric called back, his voice weak but firm. Mira lingered for a moment before turning away. Elric watched her leave through the window, guilt gnawing at him, but he told himself it was better this way. Weeks passed, and Elric's condition worsened. He rationed his food, cutting his meals down to 1 small bowl of porridge each day. His limbs grew thin, his strength faded, and even walking across the room left him dizzy. One night, as he lay awake in bed, a powerful wind swept through the village. The wind howled like a wolf, tearing at the trees and shaking rooftops. Elric bolted upright when he heard the sharp bang of his barn door flying open. His heart pounded. The goats. Forcing himself to stand, Elric stumbled outside. The cold wind stung his face, and his legs wobbled beneath him. He barely noticed his weakness, his thoughts were locked on the animals he depended on for milk and trade. He followed the faint sound of hoofs toward the forest's edge. The night seemed darker than usual, and the trees whispered ominously as the wind tore through them. Elric's breath came in shallow gasps. His vision blurred, his head spun, yet he staggered onward. Finally, he spotted his 2 goats, tangled in a thicket of branches. Relief washed over him, but his strength was fading fast. "Come on," he croaked, tugging at their ropes. His fingers felt numb, and his limbs trembled violently. With one final pull, he freed the animals, but as he turned back toward the village, his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the cold earth. His breathing slowed, and his mind swam in a fog of exhaustion and regret. "This is my fault," he thought bitterly. "If I'd just asked for help." As darkness crept over him, faint voices broke through the silence. "Elric, Elric." The voices grew louder, closer. Suddenly, warm hands grasped his shoulders, and Myra's voice rang out. "He's here, we found him." Elric felt himself being lifted, his vision flickering in and out. When he finally opened his eyes again, he was lying in Myra's home, warm blankets piled on top of him. Mira sat nearby, holding a bowl of steaming broth. "You scared us," she said softly, offering him the bowl. "You're lucky we found you." Elric took a small sip, his hands shaking. "I didn't want anyone to know," he mumbled. "Know what?" Mira asked. "That I couldn't handle it." Myra's expression softened. "Elric, no one expects you to handle everything alone." He stared at her, confused. "We've all been struggling," she continued. "That's why we've been helping each other. No one thinks less of you for needing help." Elric felt a lump rise in his throat. For so long, he had believed his neighbors would mock him, yet here they were, rescuing him, caring for him, and asking for nothing in return. The next day, Elric awoke to find the villagers unloading supplies outside his home, water barrels, food baskets, and bundles of firewood. Some repaired his barn door, while others tended to his animals. For the first time in years, Elric stepped outside and greeted them. He thanked each person who had helped him, and to his surprise, no one looked down on him. They smiled, glad to see him back on his feet. From that day forward, Elric learned that true strength wasn't about doing everything alone, it was about knowing when to lean on others. His farm thrived again, not just because of his hard work, but because he finally accepted that no one succeeds alone.
Now it's time to go answer the question of the day and get your points, and if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please like and subscribe now. This is how we continue to stay in business. Thank you and good luck.